In this video, I've put together some tip strategy from board game designers and publishers themselves that should help you a bit in your games. Coming up. Hi everyone, hope you're well. It's Stella from Meeple University. Welcome to my tabletop diary. Hopefully you've seen the other tips video that I've done and find them useful. Otherwise, check them out here or check in the descriptions below. Before I get into it, please write in the comment sections below what you think of the episodes and if there are games you want to be featured in this strategy series, or if you want to say hi. If we have videos for the games featured here, I'll put the links in the description so you can look at our review or how to play or playthrough videos. Also, if you'd like to go to a specific section, I put a time index in the description so you can jump ahead. So, here are the tips, starting with Pipeline by the designer Courtney. Hi, I'm here at PAX Unplugged 2019 with Ryan. How are you?
Hello, how are you doing?
Good, thank you, Ryan, the designer of Pipeline. So, you feeling okay today? It's the first day of PAX Unplugged?
Yep, feeling great.
Good. And you got some tips to share for Pipeline. So Please tell us anything, could be, beginner tips or advanced tips, anything that would help maybe even first player to play.
Yeah, so the first thing is we have a variant in the game called the beginner's variant, which I know some people skip after they play once or they think they shouldn't use it. We highly suggest you use it because that will make things smoother.
Yep.
But it's definitely a game of efficiency. And so if you're smart on your turns, or if you work on it, you can get into a situation where you can do essentially 3 actions for every single turn, right? So you could do your primary action, you can do a secondary action, as well as have your machine run as well. So those are the types of things that you want to make sure that you're maximizing. So you want to try to maximize what you can do in each turn. So that might mean whenever you're running your pipelines, you want to make sure that you're running multiple pipelines at once. Most of the time, I try to run at least 2 pipelines, even on my first run of the pipelines.
Because turn is really tight, isn't it? You don't have a lot of time to do everything else that you want.
Right, exactly. So, yeah, don't be afraid to run your pipelines twice in a row. Don't be afraid to sell and buy multiple oil at once. Like, you want to make sure that you're doing as much as you can with every single action. And also, turn order in this game is incredibly important.
Right.
So you definitely want to make sure that you are paying attention to pushing yourself towards the back of turn order as the year starts getting towards the end, so that you can push yourself towards the front at the beginning of the year.
Right. Okay. That's a good tip, especially getting the upgrades as well. You want to get
right. So at the year transitions, that's where everything gets refilled or reset. That includes the upgrades or the pipes or whatever it may be. So those are definitely going to be situations where you want to be able to push yourself up in front so you can grab things before your opponents can. Yeah.
That's really good. I'll remember that next time, and I'll probably try not to show this before I play again. No, I'm kidding. Just try to win. I think the last time we played, my partner Tarrant won.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then that's pretty smash everybody.
Yeah.
It was very efficient. That's probably is the key, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so money seems tight at the beginning, and is, but in the end, really, it's the 18 actions that are really the tightest part of the game. It's those actions, making sure you're efficient with every single one. Money will loosen up over time.
And then you just have to do the order as well. I remember most of it, but there are parts about getting the order as well. That it feels like it's the one that you take to your board and you contract. Contract. I'm too scared to try.
Contracts are great. So one thing that I do suggest though is if you go and get contracts, almost always take a loan. That $15 is almost always worth it. I typically have 2 or 3 loans every game that I play. So definitely, if you're getting those contracts, pick up a loan. The $15 will come in handy, and you'll make it back up by the end. And then, contracts would be very, very helpful because they allow you to skip having to use a whole action to go and buy more oil, to sell your oil.
Good to know. Thank you so much. Do you have anything else that you want to say or share out to everybody? Or
Hope everybody has a happy holiday, and look forward to the pipeline expansion coming next year.
oh, what is it called? Or is
We
it
don't have a name.
secret?
We don't have the name yet. We don't have the name
It's a
yet.
working name, surely.
Just pipeline
Just
expansion
pipeline
for now.
expansion.
Yeah.
All right. So watch out for that, and thanks for watching. See you guys.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm here with Cole Wehrle. Wehrle, is that how you say your name?
Wehrle.
Wehrle, yay. Sorry, I don't want to say it
Good.
wrong.
You got it the first time.
So, I've been practicing. So, I've got special guest here, Cole. I've been trying to get him to talk about tips for Root.
Yes.
So, we did how to play video on Root. We did also some joke video about the song
Yes,
thing. I don't know if you
it's very good.
That's Tarrant.
I would catch people in the office singing it too, so it became a whole thing.
Yeah, I believe you.
Yeah.
So, please tell us some, I don't know, beginner tips or advanced tips on Roots. I don't know, you can start with any of the characters or whatever you
Sure.
like, really.
Okay, so I'll start with maybe like general principles. So in Root, you need 30 points to win the game. And the backwards way of thinking about that is you have to find a way, like where are your 30 points going to come from? So if you look at the cat board, for instance, the marquee, you can clear the buildings off and you can just kind of map out what 30 points might look like. And what you quickly realize from the marquee perspective is that with one action, you can earn 1 point, or you could earn 5 points, depending on how far you are on those tracks. So a lot of times a new player will make this mistake where they hunt for a single point when they could make an investment that will lead them to get 2 points for a single action, or 3 or 4 later down the line. So in general, the rule of thumb for the marquee is go as deep as you can in 1 or 2 rows, try not to build one of everything. And really, I mean, one of the problems of talking about strategy with Root is that all the factions behave very differently. I think that, so I'll kind of go through each one and talk about some, like maybe a quick tip for each of the 4 basic factions, okay? So with the marquee, you start the game and you have every advantage. You have tons of warriors, you rule the entire board, or more or less the whole board. Once you lose, that's not gonna stay, and once you lose it, you will never ever get it back. So deciding when to, so I think when you're looking at controlling the board, one of the biggest recommendations I give you is the first turn, people usually have an extra action. If you ever have an extra action, you should always move and try to consolidate your forces. Because in Root, 2 warriors is a lot better than 1 warrior. So always try to stack up a little bit. Okay, so that's the marquee. For the Eerie, I think that know that you're going to go into turmoil and plan on it. So the Eerie tends to lose the game worse when they are surprised by a turmoil. So see it coming, and heck, even help trigger it yourself just so you can get those resets and plan for them. For the Woodland Alliance, make sure you put your, so there's a tendency when you play the WA to hide, which is important, but your sympathy is gonna generate the most income when it's in a conflict zone. So really like try to guess where the border is gonna be in the game and to build around there. And then for the Vagabond, make sure nobody attacks you. Hide. For the first few turns, run away. Now, if you have friendly players, they'll probably let you get away with this. But after you've won a couple games and they're afraid of you, they'll start chasing you. So just try to stay safe as the Vagabond.
Right. That's really good. I think my favorite is the Vagabond because I can just like, whoop, whoop, disappear.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right.
Well, and you get to be like a tourist in the game that everybody else is playing, which can be pretty fun.
Yeah. It's just like not related a little bit, but in Fast, I like to be the cave. Because it's just like that different character that's like...
Well, and you get to influence everyone obliquely when you play the setting. And so like no one can hate you that much, but you're still ruining their lives, which is wonderful.
Yeah, that's like slightly. Well, by the way, I probably have not mentioned Cole is the designer of Root.
That's true.
I do now. So thank you so much. Anything else that's any common mistakes that people usually do that comes in mind?
Sure. So a big one is people will not craft cards. You should always, like really even building your strategy around being able to craft certain cards. They are one of the best sources of victory points in the game, and many of the powers will save you actions later. When I play the Marquee, the first few turns, I will look very seriously at my hand. My hand will very strongly influence which corner I pick to start the game in, and will determine where I put my workshops. So pay attention to your crafting and try to use that deck. That's going to be especially true when people get their hands on the new deck. for in the Underworld expansion. If you got the Kickstarter, which is called the Exiles and Partisans deck. The powers in that deck are very powerful, but they're easy to ignore if you're not actually seeking them out.
Now, also the expansion of Root, the original expansion.
Yeah.
Are you able to give some more tips?
Oh, of course.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, yeah. So I love playing the Lizards. They're one of the harder factions to play in the game. So my best piece of advice for the Lizards is your biggest strength is that you can recruit anywhere. So you should recruit everywhere. Think about the spots that would most frustrate you to lose control of and recruit there. So recruiting at the sawmills of the cat, so like they can recruit in places with Woodland Alliance sympathy and then kill the sympathy. And they won't have to worry about the penalty of moving in. So really use the fact that you can deploy anywhere. I also, with the Lizards, save up your acolytes for big bursts. Don't use like 1 or 2 a turn for little conspiracies. Try to build up a big pile of them. For the Otters, know what you can charge for things. Very often you can get 3 or even 4 warriors for a card. Don't be afraid to charge a premium for those cards.
That's very good. Handy tips. I'm sure they're all going to be very useful to play those.
Yes.
So thank you so much for that.
My pleasure.
Well, now that I still got you, I got one more game. I might as well continue.
Okay.
Pax Pamir.
Yes.
So tips for that, please.
Yes. Okay. So Pamir, I'm switching gears.
Yeah, I know. And you also, do you need a break?
No. I can talk about Pamir all day.
And you are also the designer, the solo designer.
Yep. I'm the sole designer of Pamir 2. Phil Eklund helped develop the first edition, and my brother Drew Wehrle helped develop the second edition. So with Pamir, there are a couple things. Placing blocks. So in Pamir, when you play cards, you put units into play. Placing blocks is usually a raw deal. So you want to let the other players in your coalition do the heavy lifting, and try to avoid it. And so that's kind of tip 1. Tip 2 is if there are cards with a lot of blocks on them, they're definitely worth buying, but consider not playing them right away, because in the later game, what happens is all the good cards get snapped out of the market. So when you get to the late game, usually all the cards are quite weak. A strong card saved from the early game can make a huge difference in the late game. So those are 2 general principles. The other thing is to pay a lot of attention, try to get good at reading the market. So the classic example is a political card is usually a very powerful thing. But if there are also military cards in the same region, it's a very bad card, because if you buy the political cards, someone else can just buy the military cards and destroy the thing you just did. So really pay attention to the market and realize the little combos, and usually that just takes practice.
That sounds really good as well. So thank you so much. I will use those tips for Pax Pamir.
Thank you.
I've got all of the games. So anyone, if you've got any comments, just put in comments below, and I might ask Paul if it's like super, but don't give us too much question, because then I feel like bothering Paul too much.
No,
like,
that's
how
fine.
do I win?
You can ask me questions. I'm fine
Okay.
with it. Yeah.
So that's it. Thank you so much for that.
All right. My
Thank you.
pleasure.
Bye. Thanks guys for the tips. Well, hopefully these videos are useful. If you've discovered tips for these board games yourself, please feel free to write in the comment sections below if you like, and watch out for the next episodes. If you enjoyed this video, please help us by hitting the like button. You can subscribe to us and hit the bell so you'll be notified of our next videos, including the next in board game strategy series. Check me out on Instagram for my board games journey, and I will see you next time. Thank you for watching and have a good day. Bye!